We all know that we'll be waiting a while before the next season of the House of the Dragon is finally available for streaming, and we sure don't want any of you to forget the characters, so today's video will be all about who's who in the show. If you ever had any doubts, which is quite common because of the large cast, we'll clear them right up. Let's get right to it. First off, it gets hard keeping up. Most of them are blonde and gorgeous, so it makes perfect sense if you've been getting confused. Also, we just have to mention the name repetitions. We all saw how much damage they have done. We mean, greedy and power-hungry families aside, we could have had a very smooth transition of power had Alicent not confused the dying king's words. He was talking about Aegon the Conqueror, and she thought he was talking about his son. The whole thing was just a mess, and now the whole family is at war. Sounds about right, doesn't it? Also, the fact that Viserys got to sit on the throne due to the same tradition, which now Rhaenyra has to fight to be queen, is pretty iconic if you think about it. While the initial choice had to be made between her and Daemon, the arrival of a son did complicate things, and of course, in a male-dominated society, a woman sitting on the throne would always be frowned upon. We think that the in-family fighting will get really ugly, and if we're being honest, we're here for it. We've been waiting to see the dragons dance, but since the upcoming season will be heavily about family drama, it makes sense to know who's who. It makes picking sides so much easier, and you'll be able to tell who's Team Green and who's Team Black. As for us, we are definitely rooting for the Blacks, but something tells us that the Greens will prove to be formidable foes. Next up, the complicated family tree. So, unlike the traditional family system, the Targaryens do as they please. We've seen them having kids out of marriages and pretending otherwise. We've seen them pass off their children as legitimate heirs when the world can see the truth. The fact that they're good at keeping it quiet, and also the fact that accusing the princess without proof is punishable by death, is a pretty good preventative measure if you ask us. This is why any kids born in the household are never questioned. We all saw the insane beheading and now know better than to ever ask any questions that might indicate offense. We do like our heads attached to our necks, thank you very much. But this is an excellent time to back up and understand where the family began and how is the Targaryen bloodline divided. There will be new characters appearing in season 2, and you don't want to wait till then to figure it all out. Moving on to the who's who in the House of the Dragon. First up, we've got Daenys, the Dreamer Targaryen. Yeah, this is a family that's pretty big on titles. There was Aegon the Conqueror, but before him, we had Daenys the Dreamer. She was the one who had the terrible vision that the city of Valyria, a dragon rider's stronghold, would be destroyed in an apocalyptic event. It was based on this that her father, Aenar Targaryen, moved his entire family to Dragonstone, and this is how they became the last of the dragon riders to survive. We gotta say, he was a smart man who took the advice of his little girl. Also, we're pretty jealous. This family has all the right gifts, dragons and visions. Next up, we have Aegon the Conqueror. This guy, along with his two sister wives, we know how that sounds, but there's little we can do about it. Anyway, he was the one who united the Seven Kingdoms. His sisters were Visenya and Rhaenys. He is seen as the king who established the family as the ruler and got all individual kingdoms to gather under one banner. Needless to say, he was quite the hit in the family. One thing we'd like to point, the family has seen either really good kings or just downright mad ones. He was one of the good ones, but there were plenty who were absolutely cuckoo as well. You'll see. Following up with Aenys Targaryen. Aegon had two sons. This was the one he had with Rhaenys. The guy was nice and all, but he really didn't have what it takes to be a ruler. And you know what happens when that's the case? It doesn't last. Even though he played his cards right, we mean the guy married Alyssa Velaryon, a prominent family from Old Valyria. While not dragon riders, essentially the family gained a lot because of their association with the Targaryens. Needless to say, Aenys wasn't a sharp king, though he was kind. He was murdered by his brother Maegor in cold blood. Now for Jaehaerys, the old king Targaryen. This guy is the most popular king that House Targaryen ever saw, and his rule was seen as the golden period for Westeros. He married his sister Alysanne, and the two of them were quite in love. While while no one would ever say it, it was obvious that she ruled the kingdom with him. This was a king who actually invested in his kingdom, creating ease for people and laying down proper infrastructure, while his wife helped arrange marriages that would help the houses unite even further. This was also a great way to place the right people everywhere, so they were always in the know. They made a great couple and ruled effectively for years. The two had a total of 12 children, and we won't be talking about all of them, only the ones who were eyeing the throne. Coming up, Aemon Targaryen. He was Jaehaerys' first son to step into adulthood and married a Baratheon, who was also his aunt. We don't know what was up with this family, you guys. Anyway, he fathered one daughter, Rhaenys, and he passed away pretty young. Jaehaerys was still alive when his son died. Next up, we've got Baelon Targaryen, another one of Jaehaerys' sons. He married his sister and had 2 sons with her, Viserys and Daemon. The guy died pretty early on as well, due to a stomach issue. His death was very sudden, and this also happened in the king's lifetime. Pretty depressing, isn't it? What's more, the king was all out of heirs at this point. Let's talk about Rhaenys, the queen who never was Targaryen. If one person really should have gotten the throne, it's this woman. Everything she does screams royalty and class. Not to mention, she has all the leadership qualities that a ruler should have. Her claim to the throne was strongest, as she was the eldest child of the heir to the throne. However, all thanks to these sexist times and lords, her grandfather decided to call for a vote instead of passing the throne to her. Of course, the insecure men did not bend a knee to a woman, and the throne was passed on to Baelon's older boy, Viserys. In season 1, we saw how much better it would have been had she ascended the throne. We also saw her family suffer, as she lost both her children and even her husband was badly injured. Had it been a different time, no one with half a mind would have passed her over. Not to mention Viserys Targaryen's role and rule. He isn't a bad king, to be honest, but we do see him struggle quite a bit. As we also hear in the show, the man would have been content if he was just a lord. The whole responsibility wore him down. He married his cousin Emma, and while we can see that he's completely taken with her, the pressure of not having a male heir catches up to him. The horrible C-section he puts his wife through is fresh in our memory. And how pointless was it all, as he loses his son anyway, naming his daughter Rhaenyra as his heir. However, he soon remarries the daughter of his hand, and the princess's best friend, Alicent Hightower, and they have a son. Aegon II is a threat to Rhaenyra's claim to the throne, and this is when the animosity creeps into their relationship. As a mother, Alicent naturally wants her son to be on the throne, not to mention the grudge she holds against her best friend. It's a mess, y'all, and we can't wait for the next season to blow our minds. What's more, we've got the heartthrob, Daemon Targaryen. Oh, he's quite mad, but too hot for anyone to notice that. Brother to Viserys, he's the impulsive one. No rules apply to Daemon, and he does as he pleases. While all of this makes him the bad boy we keep thirsting for, it also makes him pretty unreliable to be on the throne. Like they say, no one's perfect, but things get pretty serious when he starts pining for his niece and the next heir to the throne. While he was strategically married off to avoid this, he murders his wife. However, his brother refuses to let him marry his daughter. Daemon married Laena Velaryon, and they had 2 beautiful daughters before she died in childbirth. That's when he comes back to the city and eventually marries Rhaenyra. Next up, we've got Rhaenyra Targaryen. She's all fire and all love, the queen that we're all rooting for. For the longest time, her father avoids naming her heir because he hopes for a son, but she proves that she's just as good as any other male heir. However, we do think that her life's been quite a mess, and in true Targaryen fashion, the throne mattered to her. We mean, she did blow off Sir Criston for the throne, and good riddance because he turned out to be nuts. She has heirs, quite a lot of them, so she's sorted on that front. But we can't help but think that things will get pretty tough for her in the next season. 3 of her children are illegitimate, and while she has furthered the bloodline with Targaryen heirs, the truth is that Alicent is out to protect her own, and she'd make sure the Greens rule. And on that note, that's a wrap for this video. Which one is your favorite character? And are you excited for season 2 of the House of the Dragon? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.